Hey, hello. Uh, Sorry, I am late today. I woke up late. We were out for a while yesterday, and then, out of curiosity, I did start playing the game. This game as one of my other characters. But anyway, do not worry. Uh, we will still pick up where we left off, which so we just finished the prologue last time, which ended with a meal at the diner. And it was raining at the end, and it's like, well, we are officially residents here in Golden Grove. Am I talking too quietly? I don't know. But yeah, so now we will be doing the moments. At least we'll do at least one moment. If we have time, we'll do the other one, but I started late, so I might not have time. So yes, I am playing as my character. Kia Connolly. She is one of my OCs. I gotta change her back in overalls. Anyway, yeah, so she's one of my OCs, so I'm playing the game as her, to sort of, because I'd rather play the game as a character than as myself. But yes, her relationships currently, she is friends with both of them, with Chiyu, I forget what these things mean, but I mean, what the section's called. But teamworking, she's like either compromising or helps come up with plans. Praising, she like compliments people. Accepting, she sees them as equals, which is really funny. Yeah. And then it's the same setup here, but she is best friends with Tamarack. And I asked last time, I was like, can you have more than one best friend? No, you can't. So this is her best friend. And she was just gonna have to deal with that because Tamarack's her best friend. So yes, I will get into the actual game now. We are starting with step 1, moment selection, moment walks. And when the game finishes, but actually there's going to be another update. There'll be more moments, so I can always come back and continue the moments here, or I can play as another character next time. We'll see. Oh, also, I'm saying a lot of stuff here, but next time when I play a longer game, I think I'm just going to stick it to one day and then have other games in between. So like if I play Our Life, Beginnings, and Always, which is the game before this, where it's summertime and you have one neighbor and his name is Cove. I'll probably just stick it to like, I'll play it every Saturday or something, and then the other days that I stream, I'll play something else, if that makes sense. And that way it'll be like more variety. It'll be a variety, but I'll still be consistently playing the game, you know? All right. Anyways, to the nth time, I will go on to the moment walks now. Begin moment. Play the walks moment. Yes. Oh, also, if you have a notification that the stream is like 06 and part 3, I just forgot to rename it before I start streaming, but I fixed it, so it should say 07 part 4. But anyways, here we are. Oh yes, I get to change your outfit again. I think this part is really cool. Let's see, so back to our overalls. And let's get her earrings back to the other way, which what she had them was, where's the star? Like that. Oh, and let's give her ribbon back. It was on the side. There we go. Oh, you can already change her hair. Well, as of now, her hair will stay the same, but it will be changing in the future. But for right now, it's this. This is her hair. Oh, is that a braided bun? Ah, tempting. Not right now, but like for the future, because she has, in my high school design of Kia, she has twin braided buns, and so that's why she currently has these pigtails here. There's no like twin buns here, so we'll see. She might just stick with this hair and just change the front of it in the future. I scrolled. I'm so sorry. I forget that I was just moving around on my hand, and then my finger scrolled a lot. I apologize for that. Because, you know, you have to scroll downward. I scrolled up too much. If you scroll up, it goes backwards. So remember that. If you scroll up, it goes backwards. Yeah, I need to change her hair anyway. Her hair is fine. Her hair is fine. Her glasses are fine. I don't think she's ever going to change her glasses. Whoops, I pressed that button twice. Let me do that. There we go. Right, and I'll leave the hair alone. I was just saying that I would think she might change the front of her hair at some points, but she's not going to, as of right now, this is her hair. And we'll see what she looks like in high school eventually. Not this soon eventually, but eventually. Yeah, alright. Yeah, okay, well, then let's carry on. Hello again. We have another brief tutorial for you. It's time to explain the concept of linked moments. All the scenes in the game have bits and pieces and certain choices that will end up impacting later parts of the story. However, there are some selections that are especially tied together. The moment walks and the moment wills are an example of that. They are linked moments. Even though you chose walks, you can still pivot to the wheels moment. That's because the two stories share an introduction. If you'd chosen wheels first, the opening scene would be the same. In this linked opening scene, Chio and Tamarack have different ideas of how to spend a weekend. You can be a tiebreaker or leave it up to them. But either way, the group will plan to do the other suggestion on another Saturday. When or if you choose to do the second moment in the pair, the game will acknowledge how it was already a set plan you've made in advance. If you replay the game, it's definitely suggested to switch up the order you do the moments to see how things change. There aren't any other linked moments in Step 1, though there will be more in Step 2 and 3. It was Saturday, one of the 2 days in the weekend when there was no school at all. That was too bad. You were excited for Monday already. You had lunch at home, Mama, a little bit ago. When she tackled the after-meal cleanup, your Mama encouraged you to go outside while the weather was still good. There was only a 17% chance of rain, she told you. And then she went on to ramble about how it seemed in this town anything over 20% was essentially a guarantee of at least some drizzling. The talk about weather had gone on for a minute before she remembered you were standing there listening. Mama urged you again to leave her to the dishes and go enjoy the weekend. It was under those circumstances that Mr. Chiu Lin had gathered both yourself and Tamarack Bauman in the center of the cul-de-sac for a neighborhood meeting. He had something he wanted to ask. Do you have bikes? No. She came out with a reply immediately. What? Chiu shouted. Reaction was even more instant somehow. His brain hadn't been prepared for anything other than a yes. How do you live without a bike? Like this? The golden-haired girl did a little jig to show how great she was at living with no bike. She tapped her nose and waved her hands in the air. Chiu leaned his face away from the show. Alright, okay, what about something else? Anything with wheels? Just like that, her limbs flopped down again. Tamarack squished her lips from one side of her face to the other, thinking. I've got a scooter from my mom and dad in one of the closets. That works. She rolled with the change in expectations. Then he glanced at you. Kia? Yeah, I've got my bike. I have a bike too. Yep. He gave Chiu the answer he was looking for with a nod. Why do you want to know? You just stared at him. You lowered your eyes shyly to the tarmac. I have a bike too. Chiu's eyes sparkled. This conversation had finally gone the way he'd been hoping for. So you've got a bike. Nice. Chiu viewed in relief. Finally, Chiu revealed the reason he'd been so keen on all this wheel talk. You know, I'm meeting with the club today. Oh. Chiu's boys club, whatever they decided to call it. Him and those two older kids. Baxter the cool boy, and the one you weren't sure about. I want you to hang out too. This could be our inarguable. Attempting an extra complicated word did not work out. He tripped over his own tongue, but Chiu bounced back quick before anyone could ask him about it or correct him. The first time we officially get together with our brand new member. And Tamarack too. I thought we could go on a ride together and everybody would like it. Chiu scratched the back of his head with his left hand. Was Tamarack the only kid in Oregon who didn't have a bike? You did, and Chiu did, and his friends must have too, so maybe. It'll be okay if we go on foot. We've still got the whole afternoon and the whole group. I don't want to go to the stinky town. Sorry. Calling Golden Grove the stinky town got a stunned chuckle from Chew, but Tamarack was totally serious. Why can't we ride things in the neighborhood? 'Cause we live here? We always stay in the neighborhood. It'd be cool to leave while we can. I bet you'd like where we go because it's a park. There's plenty of trees and stuff around. Have you seen that? Huh? It's on the opposite side of town from us, where the high school is. The park is the best place to ride for speed and tricks. There's no cars or hills. But just walking around is good too. Tamarack narrowed her eyes in silence. That itself was an obvious answer to Chew's question. She had not seen the park. Wait. You did. So did Chew. The neighbor on the right was thinking hard. Then she let out a sharp gasp as she hopped into the air, like a tire popping. Is that the special thing? Whoa. Laughing and shaking his head, Chew barely managed to give Tamarack a straight answer. No, it's not the park. That thing is only in the forest. His snickers and voice got quieter the more they went on until you could hardly hear him. I didn't remember I said that. I should have written it down before school. After the total swerve Tamarack had managed to pull, Chew took control over the situation again. Yeah, I could show you that, if you want to do it. It was happening. You might really find out what the special thing was. Chew was totally unfazed by your reaction. He was too committed in going on with his own explanations. The rest of the club would come with us, too. We'd have to give up on riding through town and seeing the park, though. For someone talking about not doing what he wanted to do, Chew's voice was light and carefree. Okay, I want to do the special thing. Cool. Me too. We've got to see the special thing. The possibility of going off into the woods brightened your mood. Can we ride stuff to the special place? Then we could do both ideas. We couldn't go on a ride anymore. I wanted to do that. She saying the original plan couldn't happen made your shoulders slump. I'd rather see the park than whatever's in the forest. You know, there's more days than today. There's time to do everything we want. Those two were talking just to themselves. You had nothing to do with all that. You glanced back and forth between the kids, too shy to participate in the planning. None of that sounded any good to you. I do have her as team working, so she's got a teamwork. Can we ride stuff to the special place? Then we could do both ideas. Or, you know, there's more days than today. There's time to do everything we want. Yeah, let's do that one. Kia, your sorcerer magic is at work again. Sticking his hands on his hips, Chew leaned towards you. The smile decorating his face was too big to come across as nonchalant as he made his voice. All we've got to do to make this work is promise to hang out again. We can go to one place this time, and next time we'll do the other thing. Everybody will get everything, and nobody will miss out on anything cool. That fixes it. It looked like Tamarack wasn't committed to playing without the boys' club after all. She just agreed to spend two weekend days doing so without blinking. In fact, she was super perky about it. The roundabout trip of words Chew laid out had taken Tamarack from a point of complete disinterest to feeling like boys' club activities were pure genius. At some point, Chew had shifted his hands behind his back. He kept that wide, I can't believe it's all coming together grin as he popped up and down on the balls of his feet. The thing was, Tamarack would have gotten over that without Chiu's fancy work. The thing was, Tamarack would have gotten over that without Chiu's fancy footwork. You were certain of it. He didn't need to try that hard. Chiu was crazily over the top with how he got along with people, but Tamarack was extra straightforward. Kia, you're the tiebreaker. I want to see the special thing, and Chiu wanted to do the other thing. Yeah, we need you to vote. Baxter and Darren don't know the plan. And anyways, they're not gonna care if it's riding to the park or going to that forest place, especially if we're gonna do both of them on different days. What do you think? He asked with great eagerness. This was the final step of the perfect path Chiu had laid out. But he didn't have to question it. You'd been ready for this all along. Honestly, you were curious about what might happen. Truthfully, you'd be happy to hang out with Chiu and Tamarack no matter what you were doing. Overall, it didn't sound great, but you weren't going to be left behind. Well, there were worse things you could do. Tamarack was already joining, so you would too. It was spending time with Chiu. Obviously, you were going to join. Though, why wouldn't you go? Chiu and Tamarack were the people you wanted to be around. But you didn't want anything to do with that. Still, you couldn't do it. Yeah, I guess truthfully, you'd be happy to hang out with you and Tamarack no matter what you were doing. So this one's also a good contender. I'll go with this one. I like that sometimes there's like what you're thinking and then what you say, because it's like it adds more layer to the character, you know, because the character can be like, well, done going, and then be like, I don't know how this, you know, if that made any sense. Yeah, we should go to the special place today. In the park another time. Yeah, we should go to the park today in the special place another time. I want to go to the special place now. I'll go to the park now. I'll come. Can we do the special place first? I'll come. Can we do the park first? You nodded. You sighed and shrugged. Uh-huh. Okay, whatever you guys want. You shot him a thumbs up. I'll go. I know it says that it's linked and like it'll just change whatever. I think this time around I will keep it as walks because that's which one I clicked on. But it's cool that it's linked and I could just switch over to wheels if I wanted to. But I'll go to the special place first. I gotta decide which way Kia would say it. We'll go with this one. Alright. A successful resolution was reached. Chiu looked ready to do a victory lap around the cul-de-sac. Woo! And Tamarack was ready to follow him. Or considering it was Tamarack, she was ready to turn it into a race and win the victory lap somehow. It's a promise. It was. You and your friends had a promise. Step 1. Walks. Oh, look, it's the bag. Tamarack's bag. Oh. He started suddenly from a thought in his own head, eyes opening wide. We're not going riding. I gotta call the guys so they don't bring bikes. Be back in a second. Chiyu gave a thumbs up and dashed away before anybody could say anything about it. Tamarack kept her eyes fixed on the retreated boy as if he might be trying to escape and not show her the special place after all. Chiyu shut his house's door behind him, and the neighborhood went completely silent. A realization came to you in Chiyu's wake. If you were leaving the neighborhood, your mom was going to need to know about it. Mama didn't stop you from doing stuff. She just liked to be aware of what was going on. Tamarack, I'm going to tell my mama what we're doing. Okay, I'm going to stay right here. Yeah, she was determined not to let Chiyu get away from this. With that, you left. You found Mama in the kitchen and explained what was going on. She thought that was wonderful, appreciated you keeping her abreast of your busy schedule, and hoped you'd have fun. Mama wanted you to be home before dark, though. You could do that. Tamarack waved from her spot on the road. She hadn't moved an inch, and was the only one there. Chiyu's job wasn't done yet. It took a long time of standing, probably 10 minutes, before Chiyu came back. Eventually, though, he burst through the white door, yelling ahead of himself. He must have agreed that it took forever, because he wasn't wasting even a second then. It's all good. When Chiyu arrived at the center of the cul-de-sac, he wiped his forehead with a gloved hand, then talked some more. Everybody ready? Yes. Tamarack's voice was low and serious. Sorry about that. I also didn't eat yet. I might eat during this. I apologize. I am very ready. I'm ready too. And so you and your two neighbors set out for places unknown. Well, unknown to most of you. The first leg of the journey took you down the hilly road. It was the only path out of your neighborhood. You had to follow it, even to get to a super secret. You had to follow it even to get to a super secret location. Well, that's cool. Your small group marched along until you'd arrive at the heart of town. You had to crane your neck to take in the full view of the swirling arch marked Golden Grove. It towered over Main Street and all the people in it. But it didn't distract you for long. You scurried out of the road before a car could come by. Chiyu and Tamarack were right behind you. Being there felt different that afternoon. You had to pass through part of Golden Grove on the way to school, and your mama had taken you to town to run errands and stuff. But none of that was the same as wandering on Main Street just because, for fun, and because you could. Tamarack silently came up to your side. She made a squashed face out of sight of the local boy, conveying that she, for sure, still didn't like the stinky town. You couldn't get why. It was so cool. She was being silly. The town looked super nice. It was mean. Golden Grove was a good place. You found it to be disappointing in real life after what you'd imagined. And she was right. You'd already gotten sick of the place. Personally, you lost your original interest and just thought of it as normal. I think I'll go with this one. Chiu couldn't stay out of even a wordless exchange for long. He began to list out what exactly the buildings were. There's a barber store, clothing place, a library, an antique shop, thrift store. And that he paused the bullet points to fit in a sly joke. Though, not like you can tell the difference between those two. They're both selling old junk no one wants anymore. I get it. Chiu and Tamarack snickered together. Not even Golden Grove itself was safe from Chiu's teasing ways. Naomi loves antique shops and thrift stores. Yeah, she does. Oh, and down there on the corner is the corner store. You've never been in, right? It's a great place. Tons of stuff. And it usually only costs a few dollars or less. I've got to say something about it, but let's wait for the club. And that's what he did. Chiu zipped his lips and folded his arms. You guessed he wasn't tired of keeping people in suspense, even if he was revealing one mystery. Tamarack let out a sputtering, puttery breath and slumped against the brick wall behind you. Okay, we can wait again. You, Tamarack, and Chiu held down the meetup spot. Random adults passed by every once in a while. A lot of them said hello to Chiu. They knew him. Tamarack said hi to all of them. She didn't know those people. It took even longer than it did for Chiu to make those calls. But then Tamarack flung her arm towards the other side of the street. She sounded the alarm and brought an end to the watch. There! One moment. We followed her guideline. A pair of figures were speeding around a corner. Woo! Darren! Baxter! Chiu sprang to the curb of the sidewalk. He waved the two over with both arms. The missing members of his club joined the group, settling exactly into place at Chiu's sides like the gloves that he wore on each hand. Hi. Hey. Darren beamed at Chiu's enthusiasm for a second. It faded fast when he glanced at who else was there. Looking was all he did, though. He wasn't going to point out the obvious again. Darren had resigned himself to hanging out with more than the usual boys-only trio. That was better than loudly being against it. Baxter's expression wasn't exactly happy either, even though he was smiling. That's because a smirk didn't count as being friendly. Hi. And Tamarack's greeting was exactly the same as the ones given to the total strangers who happened to cross her path. This was the first time you'd all gotten together to do something, and it sure was obvious. All right, people, we're here. We know the plan. Special place, Tamarack whispered those two words into her scarf, anticipation sharpening the tone. Yeah, but before we leave town, let's get supplies. The corner shop is right there. So that's what he meant before. Chiu had been planning a detour to the store. Don't go into the woods unprepared, because things in the woods are prepared for you. Exactly. Chiu could count on his club following his lead, and instead looked to the biggest possible source of disagreement, Tamarack. Come on, we can pick out some stuff. It's gonna be great. Tamarack's eyes narrowed, almost like Chiu'd given her a dare, and she was gonna beat it. Then she went for her messenger bag. From its depths, Tamarack revealed a plastic bag, jam-packed with cashews. It wasn't a snack-sized baggie. It was a sandwich-sized one. I've already got food. This isn't even all, and I didn't have to pay anything. Darren brought a hand to his face, astounded. Chiu scratched his head at a loss. Baxter couldn't care less. He was not involved in the happenings. She actually is prepared. Huh. Yeah, I guess you don't have to do that. The neighbors being on the same page about the plan hadn't lasted long. Chiu liked to ride places. Tamarack would rather walk. Tamarack brought her own treats. Chiu preferred to buy snacks on the way. They lived on opposite sides of the cul-de-sac and lived opposite lives, and you were in the middle of it. Me, Darren, and Baxter have still gotta stock up. Kia too, maybe. And it's fun to look around, you know. Tamarack crammed her bag of cashews into her bigger pack once more. Her face of pride had fallen into a frown. Fine, but after that, we have to go to the special place. Thanks, Kia. Sure, we can go in. Awesome. And now, the now complete group's first order of business commenced. You crowded your way through the door at the end of the sidewalk. Having to exist on a single corner really didn't allow for much space for the store part of the corner store. The entire place was probably smaller than your classroom. It was warmer inside, and the air was stiller. Wooden panels covered the ground, thick wood beams crossed the ceilings, and shelves tightly packed with familiar snacks were fit in wherever possible. Instead of being inside an extra small shop, it was more like being inside a gigantic treasure chest. You checked out the things close to the front. Chiu wasn't kidding when he said it had a lot of stuff. Your light steps clacked against the hard floor. They resounded above the slight hum coming from a fridge in the back. Nearby, Tamarack swished her head this way and that to grasp everything in the new environment as rapidly as possible. On one twist, her eyes met with yours. She didn't keep going from there. Tamarack continued to look at you. She grinned. It was easy for you to know what was going on Tamarack's mind. You and her were the same again. It was both of your first times being in this place. After everything you'd already done, you were still newcomers in this town. Meanwhile, Chiu and his crew moved into the store as if it was their own living room. They navigated to the chip and cracker aisle without a thought. Left to confront the hundreds or thousands of things there to be bought, you unconsciously patted at the pockets of your clothes. You had a little more than $4 in bills and some change. You had around $3 of cash and coins. You had $1 bill and enough change to be over $2 in total. You only had coins, about $1 worth. You had a single dime. All your money was at home. You didn't have money? Why would you? If you didn't have money, why would you have any? Let me think. Okay, so Kia, I think would probably have like a dollar bill and some coins, or maybe just coins. Because she didn't know she was coming to the store. I'm not sure, like, you know, like I know they had money, but she's like 10. I don't know how much money she would, like, Kia. Like, I think she would have some coins. Should have come with $1, 2 coins. Thoughts on your personal savings were interrupted when your ears caught onto a peculiar conversation. The trio of boys had started chatting about something while wandering the aisles. Who did it before? I don't remember. I can do it. That solution did not satisfy Mr. Chiu Lin. He groaned dramatically. You're probably the one who handled it last time. You don't remember that, remember? I know that much. Who was before the last time, me or you? Chiu definitively jabbed a finger in Darren's shoulder. Baxter was out of the question, for whatever that was. It's been a while since then. It could have been either of us. Refusing to accept a situation so obvious he could see it from a distance, Baxter offered another suggestion. Hey, we could play rock, paper, scissors. Though he knew what he was doing, every inch of Baxter's face and note of his voice expressed amusement. It wasn't only Chiyu who was unimpressed then. Darren and Chiyu heaved sighs in unison, dipping their heads low before smiling playfully at one another. You know, that is a good idea, right, Darren? Yeah, it'll settle this perfectly. The tallest of the group pulled himself up even higher. Ready to test your luck, Autumn? Nah, I don't need luck. It's rock, paper, scissors. It's rock, paper, scissors. And then you heard something different. It was Tamarack speaking specifically to you, but loud enough that it could be heard halfway across the store. What are they talking about? Each boy in the club turned to stare back at her, and the person next to her, you. Darren stuck his hand in his pocket of his vest and did that thing where he retracted his neck inward so he didn't have to face people all the way. We're figuring out whose turn it is to buy food. Instead of everybody buying a snack for themselves, our club takes turns having one person get all the supplies for the whole group to share. Why? Her big eyes were clear of any taunting. It honestly didn't make sense in Tamarack's mind. You pay a lot sometimes, or pay a little every time. That's not gonna make it different. It's less boring. Oh. That simple line had actually kind of convinced her of the concept. For once, Baxter's contribution was accepted easily. Tamarack didn't have an interest in teasing him, and anything Baxter might have been up to didn't interest her beyond its face value. Right, this makes things fun. Fun or not, how much pocket money did those boys have? You'd only be able to get one thing, and only if it was cheap. Good luck, you guys. This is gonna be funny. That's a dumb plan. You keenly watched the exchange, curious to find out how the game would go. There was no way you'd risk having to pay for other people's snacks. Some people had weird ideas of fun. This one. And it's okay if you and Kia want to eat from the pile too. We almost never finish it anyway. Thanks, I'll share my stuff too. Awesome. Chia breezily came back around to the original point. Let's get it out of the way. He leaned his weight onto one foot, stuck out a hip, and leveled a glance at his club. Winner gets to be the Snack King, and the Snack King has to pay. I combined. Okay. Darren and Baxter both nodded, though only one of them did it with any concern for the possibility. Darren was the warrior. Warrior. Rock, paper, scissors. The trio of boys chanted the words, bouncing their fists to the beat. On the final point, they each made their move. Chiu and Darren had thrown down paper. Baxter was rock. He was the sole loser, which in that case was a win. He wouldn't have to buy the snacks. Okay, Baxter, get out. Fine. Baxter lifted his hand in defeat, eyes closed. For a second, it seemed like he would take his bow without any smuggy business, except, that was nice of you. He had one last line, given with a sneaky smirk. While you understood Baxter was being snooty, you didn't get exactly how. Chiu could only shake his head. I figure you should know, since you're going to be living here from now on. Baxter only uses rock. What? Tamarack went from dead silent to releasing a high-pitched yelp. The volume was enough to cover the entire store that time. Yep, he's never picked anything else in his whole life. I'm pretty sure he hasn't for as long as I've known him, which is like 2 years. Why? But that mean he'd always lose. What an idiot. That's genius. You stared completely confused. The boldness of the strategy made you gasp. If he always does the same thing, then what's the point of doing it? Strange. But you didn't really care. You shrugged. That made sense to you. Why? Let me tell you. His eyes squinted along the bottom edge from the nervous smile that pulled at his lips. Baxter is kinda diabolical. But true distress soon colored Chiu's face. He threw out his arms to physically get the emotions across. Doesn't it feel like cheating to beat him when you already know what he's gonna do? Me and Darren can almost never play paper when he's in a game. The kid in question merely smiled with a lift of his chin. He saw no reason to explain or defend his devious behavior. Despite basically doing nothing, or maybe because of that, Baxter earned himself a friendly shove from Chiu. But this time it was alright, because Baxter needed to be out of the game. This is a battle between me and Darren. Chiu finished ribbing Baxter so he could sharpen his focus towards the real threat. It's on now. I'm ready. I feel like I'm going to sneeze again. Sorry. The two competitors faced one another for a final bout. For the real competition. The title of Snack King and a whole lot of pocket change was on the line. The audience remained still as they prepared their weapons, and then it began. Rock, paper, scissors. They don't say shoot. Which one do you guys do? Or I usually go rock, paper, scissors, shoot. They just rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors. And that's I know different people do different things, so like it's like an agreement to do it on 3 instead of after 3. You know, it's like 1, 2, 3, go, or 1, 2, 3. That's always the question. It's good that they have that figured out. On the word, Darren's fully gloved fingers split into scissors. Chiyu's partially gloved hand flattened to paper once more. No! The prongs of Darren's scissors instantly curled inward, but it was too late. No amount of regret could change the facts. Scissors beats paper. We've crowned a new snack king. Oh, I forgot to change this back. I'm so sorry. You guys can't even see the sparkles. I'm so sorry. I've just been on for like a long time, having not been reading it like this, and I totally forgot. I didn't even notice. Sorry about that. Chiyu managed to blurt out before doubling over with riotous laughter. I don't know that word. Hooray! Thank you for the treats, Snack King. Long live the Snack King. Woo, woo, woo. You applauded Chiyu on his loss. You clapped for Darren on his victory. You chuckled over the entire thing. Nice one, Chiyu. You're amazing, Chiyu. You're a brave man, Darren. Thank goodness Chiyu lost. He deserved it. Thank goodness Darren won. He deserved that. That's all right, Darren. You tried your best. You rolled your eyes. Hurry it up already. You simply waited for this to be done. Baxter patted Darren's back in support. He had offered to pay for the snacks at the very beginning, and Darren could have used Baxter's strategy against him, but Darren never took the easy way out. His victory was an honorable one. Okay, I'll buy the snacks. Yeah, you will. Let's pick them out already. Sure, come on. With a surprisingly not cocky smile, Baxter stretched his arms all the way around Darren's shoulders. The pair of older boys walked ahead. Chiyu didn't follow. He waited for his friends to be a good few rows down before twisting around towards you and Tamarack. Psst, he whispered through his teeth, beckoning you closer, all while glancing over his shoulder to keep watch. Tamarack took a hop forward, then looked back and forth. When the coast seemed clear, she leaned in to hear whatever message Chiyu was going to deliver. It wasn't super polite to talk behind your friends' backs, but you were willing to hear what it was actually about. I've got another secret for you. Darren doesn't like to play the same thing twice in a row, and he doesn't usually go for Baxter's move either. So most of the time, after a round with Baxter and his rock, Darren ends up going for scissors. I could have let him off the hook too, but I thought it'd be nice for Darren to treat the new kids in town for a change, even if he's only doing it because he's the snack king. Make sure to eat a lot of our stuff. That was something for sure. He was a clever kid, and a thoughtful one. Tamarack squished her hands over her mouth. You could still hear the thrilled squeal she made. Your and Tamarack's joy didn't go to Chiyu's head. That was nothing, apparently. He shrugged up his shoulders while his arms were folded. It's kind of funny. The game doesn't matter a lot because they're both so obvious. Oh well, I make a lot of the decisions for the group anyway. Spoken like a true club leader. You understood more why he kept showing up in front of you with plans out of nowhere. Hey, we can get the snacks now. I decided it. She offered the suggestion sweetly. Technically, Chiu already had that idea a minute ago, but he grinned at the attempt. You both knew Tamarack was not somebody who left plans up to Chiu. Those two rarely wanting to do the same thing wasn't always a bad thing, you guessed. And that's good with me. Chiu strolled off to join Darren and Baxter again. Tamarack stayed hot on the boys' club's heels. She wouldn't be left behind whether she needed to go shopping or not. It was exciting to think about what you might get. It'd be good to have something to eat along the way. It was worth it to at least check what the store had. You asked the group what snacks they thought would be good to bring. You asked Chiu if there was something he thought would be good. You asked Tamarack if there was something she thought would be good. You'd already decided not to get anything. It was exciting. You considered the shelves surrounding you with new eyes. I can't tell what time it is. I gotta hurry up. Leave me alone. I'm talking to myself. I'm telling myself to leave me alone because I'm a mess. Apologies. You considered the shelves surrounding you with new ideas. A jewel from the chest might be yours, if you were willing to trade the coins in your pocket for it. You looked over the cheap snacks, about $1.50 for something. The thing you picked was a tiny bag of trail mix, a tiny bag of peanuts, a tiny bag of almonds, a pack of classic bubble gum, a pack of cinnamon gum, a mini tin of mints, a chocolate bar, a pack of 2 chocolate peanut butter cups, a small package of graham crackers, a small package of sour gummies, a small package of fruity chews, a little bag of hard caramels, a little pack of crackers, a little bag of pretzels. Nothing. It wasn't worth it to get anything after all. It is established she does like candy. And I gotta think about Kia. Let me think. She had about $1 in her pocket. She went to a store. It was when she was 10. She would definitely go for candy. Will she go for chocolate or caramel? Well, if it's a small, okay, so she's gonna go for a little bag of hard caramels, not the chewy ones. But I think she would want to go with something she can share. And excuse me, sorry. Yeah, I know I'm sneezing all of a sudden. It's weird. She don't want to go to something she can share, so she's probably gonna go a bag of hard caramels. I mean, she could do graham crackers. I'm gonna try to think about my other characters to do to help me do this. Okay, so but the other characters might have different options because they may or may not have more money or any money at all. Alright. Does caramel have milk in it? I'm trying to think, because she's thinking about sharing these. I'm so indecisive. Okay, I gotta really think. She's gonna get, do I see Kia more crackers or caramels? The chewy caramels, I would definitely jump for that. I think I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do the bag of hard caramels. I think they're more likely to share that. Yeah, okay. Eventually, everyone getting something had their choice, and the 5 of you had gathered at the back of the store. Chio was in high spirits over the conclusion. He picked out a bag of spicy, cheesy, crunchy chips. Baxter chose sour gummies. The Snack King himself got some beef jerky. Darren marched straight to the counter and slapped down a $10 bill. He called to his club without turning around. Bring the stuff over. We've gotta ring it up before I can buy it. Coming. Wow. Flashing that amount of cash was apparently unbelievable to Tamarack. She watched the exchange happen as Darren was making food appear out of thin air. As though Darren was making food appear out of thin air. Oh, hi, I'm alright, how are you? Maybe she couldn't have bought something, even if she'd wanted to. Darren finished the purchase without any extra fuss. He got a big bag of treats and a little change, and gripped both tightly in his hands. Your turn to pay. Darren cleared out from the register. You stepped up to the counter that was taller than you were and piled up your money. The exchange made you think of Mama. You remembered her telling you about Oregon when it was a sure thing you'd be moving there. She talked about how there was no sales tax. The price on the sticker was the real amount you'd pay, most of the time. That came in handy for you then, trying to figure out what you could have bought when more money would have been added onto the sale at checkout would have been a lot harder. Then the tax-free sale was done. Remember, Snack King also gets the honor of carrying the goods for us subjects. Darren securely hooked the bag under one arm, while stowing his coins in the pocket of his jeans. I know, Baxter. After a pit stop far more eventful than going shopping for snacks sounded like it'd be, the crew of kids left the corner store behind. We're gonna go to the place now. Chiu made the announcement as he took the head of the pack. Tamarack was so fluffed up and excited about finally going to the special place, she didn't try to get in front of Chiu. Or it could have been because she didn't know where he was heading. Special place, special place. The big group surrounding you and the brimming sense of eagerness kept the fall chill away. It just really is really cool how color works, because when you see this, you're like, oh wow, that got bright. You know, it's not like the brightness didn't change, it's just that these colors are brighter. They really pop. You continued down Main Street for a few blocks, but soon had to turn down a side road. Whatever the special place was, it took longer to get there than the town and your school. It was beyond Golden Grove. The farther you went, the more the forest took control. of the land. People-made structures retreated among vibrant leaves, becoming fewer and fewer in number. Actually, it was a similar looking path to the one that led you into your own neighborhood. Instead of opening into a hidden neighborhood, the road you'd taken came to a sun-bleached parking lot. The only building left in sight was the diner table diner. Oh, that's why it was so familiar to you. You hadn't only been through streets that were similar. You'd gone down that exact way before, but in a car and at night. And now you were there again. On your own 2 feet, you'd gone to the very outskirts of human civilization. The end of that being an old-fashioned and just plain old American food restaurant. The entire giant lot, in the entire giant lot, you had more fingers on one hand than there were cars parked. All 3 of the vehicles were clustered together in a single section of the way. Chia took a few more steps forward, slitting off from the group gathered at the edge of the lot. There's a trail a little bit past here. It leads all the way up into the mountains. His words projected loud through the wide, open space, and he raised his arms with the sound. A wall of rustling branches in the distance framed the silhouette of Chi's back. The forest looked impossibly thick that far from town. If you hadn't just been told there was a way through, you would have thought no one could go further. The Red Fox Ridge Trail, that's its name. Me and my brother and our mom and dad go hiking there sometimes. Chia twisted his head over one shoulder, showing the edge of a bright grin. There's biking trails too, though I'm not allowed to ride them yet. I've got to be older. He flapped a thumb, and the rest of his fingers up and down against each other in a mocking imitation of his parents' past admonishment. It's too dangerous for a kid. What if you crashed? What if no one found you? The mountain isn't a joke. Ironically, he was making a joke out of the not a joke warning. Chi's yakety-yak hand puppet shifted into a single arm shrug. At least we can walk. That sounds cool. Is the trail the special thing? It sounds scary. You've got to be crazy to go riding down an entire mountain. Let's go see it. I wonder if I can go down the bike trail sometime. You go hiking? You have a brother? You have a brother? Lucky. You have an older brother? What does he look like? Is he cute? Our teacher goes into the woods to climb mountains? That was interesting. You'd remember what you heard. You aren't really listening. Trail, mountain, whatever. Chiu's brief parody of Mr. and Mrs. Lin made you crack a smile. What had you gotten yourself into? Your stomach was starting to hurt. Okay, let's see. There's a lot of stuff here. Okay, so Kia is gonna think that the trail is cool. Of course, she's shown so far that she likes the forest. She likes going places. She likes exploring. But also, I think, we didn't know Darren had a brother. Oh. Sorry, I heard like a weird thud sound just now. Okay, canonically, Mikey, she has a pet dog because because she's an only child. So I wonder, she's like, oh, you have a brother? No one else here has had any siblings. She doesn't have siblings. Chew doesn't have siblings. Tamarack doesn't have siblings. She's very in the moment, so she might have already forgotten. But I don't think we're gonna ask, you have a brother? Me? Darren asked with a high questioning tone. He had not expected you to speak to him directly about anything. Exchanges to and from him were normally transferred between Chew or Baxter. Yes, you're the one who has a brother, I guess. Well, yeah. His name's Devin. I don't have other siblings. Darren and Devin, the Murray brothers. Where was he? How come you'd never seen the mystery Murray anywhere? Darren simply readjusted his grip on the snack sack, deciding his work answering you was done. Baxter, with his greater wisdom, filled you in on an important piece of information. Devin is 16. He's 16? Mm-hmm. That was why. Darren wasn't the same age as you. Chew said he was 12 when you met, but that still meant his big brother was 4 years older, not to mention nearly an adult. You might have been double digits in years, but Devin was in double digit school grading. Of course he wouldn't hang around kids like you. And wait, how old does that make your mom? Old. Unbelievable. She looked like the youngest of the grown-ups you'd met in Golden Grove, but had a kid who was already old enough to drive a car. You'd been fooled by the pigtail braids. Adults really were hard to figure out. Chew's eyes started to wander then. He slowly turned his head to look out across the lot. You know, it's too bad Uncle probably isn't working. He does the late shift. We could have said hi. And maybe gotten more free drinks. If he was here, we wouldn't have a choice but to say hi. Uncle keeps a close eye on what happens in his turf. Nothing gets past him. He'd have come out by now to talk to us himself. Chew twirled around to face the four of you properly. He ended the spin by firmly planting his foot on the ground. If attention wasn't entirely on him before, it was then. After gaining an attentive audience, Chew launched into a dramatic, according to him, tale. One time, a few papers from my notebook fell into the parking lot or something. I know that because when I was passing by a different time, Uncle called me over to give them back to me. That never happens. He stated that definitively, insistently, only to immediately lighten up on the guarantee. Except for around Kia and Tamarack. You two always make them appear out of thin air. Darren and Baxter shared a look out of the corners of their eyes. Chew was much too distracted by his own storytelling to catch it. Darren's mouth tensed. Baxter's quirked up more. You'd begun to wonder if Chew's friends were simply too nice or too nervous to point out how Chew lost papers every other day. Most who must have seen it happen 100 times, and somehow Chew remained certain it was an impossibility. Maybe the other club members returned his notes in secret. Oh well, we don't have time for conversations today anyway. The finish line is right ahead. He threw a rally fist into the air. Following the example set by the elder boys' club members, you did not mention to Chew how he'd started and continued all of the talking that happened since you'd got there. That was how the final stretch of your journey commenced. The diner table was left behind, and so was Golden Grove entirely. The road you followed out had no sidewalk. There was only a thin, rocky edge that separated Tamarack from wilderness. Luckily, it was as devoid of cars as the parking lot had been. The only people passing through was a group of 5 kids. You wandered along it until a patch of dirt opened out onto the side of the street. There was a tilted sign with a fresh coat of dust declaring that this was the head of Red Fox Ridge Trail, 6.8 miles and 1,456 feet of elevation gained. You spied a narrow path curling through the bushes and tree trunks. It soon disappeared past where you could see. The way it unfolded made a streak of pebbles feel playful, like the red fox of the ridge had left it behind only minutes ago and was daring you to chase after its route. Through here. Darren was suddenly in front of your eyes. It was a startling appearance to come after your imaginations. His spiky blonde hair and striking orange sweater was oddly fox-like. The red fox boy screwed up his face in confusion. Darren almost asked what that was about, but he didn't. He kept going. You all did. There was no going back now. Advancing under a canopy dense enough to cover the entire sky, you made your way through the forest. No one spoke during the trip. Not Chiyu to explain anything, not Tamarack to ask when you'd be there. Past the sounds of footsteps and snapping twigs, you could hear the bubbling of water. It became more and more clear until the woods parted, smoothed away by an old stone bridge. As though the earth was wearing a beret in its leafy hair. A crumbling set of stairs led to a trickling stream below. There was no mistaking it. This was the special thing. Tamarack sucked in a whistling breath and did not let it out. Her cheeks fully puffed out. She stamped her feet as if she was revving up an engine. And then she was gone. Tamarack shot ahead, leaping from step to step, until she was frolicking in the little valley below. Wait for us! Chiyu shouted after her, and then had the thought to move after her as well. He and Darren darted for the way down together, though Chiyu took a shortcut by jumping off the stairs at the halfway point. Watch your step. Watch your step. I don't know. I should have read it differently. Anyway, Baxter whispered lightly to you. That was not a warning because he was worried. It was a big kid's test to see if it'd shake your nerves. He danced down the stairwell right after without a care in the world. You stayed right in the middle and took even steps one by one. You reached the ground completely fine. See, that's the halfway point. Yeet. These are the stairs over here. Hey, Darren, you can leave the bag near the stairs. We'll eat them later. Chiyu took huge strides down the slight hill, holding out his arms for balance. He joined Tamarack, who'd crouched by the water. Are there fish in there? Or frogs? Maybe. I think I saw something move in there before. But it's a great place, huh? Tamarack's rosy face went blank for a blink. Was it a great place? All the anticipation that had built up, all the joy from the incredible realization of the answer burst forth in a grand cheer. Yes, it's a special thing! I like it. Yeah, it's amazing. This place is beautiful and incredible, and I cannot believe it. I never want to go home. How come this isn't your hideout, Chiyu? It's more secret and better. Not bad. There's some neat stuff out here. I guess it's alright. It's just a bridge, you know. Don't you think it'd be spooky to be here by yourself? You were smiling ear to ear. You joyfully threw your hands in the air. How disappointing. What was special about a bridge? Well, it could have been worse. This could not have been worse. What a horrible place. You'd rather have stayed home. That place was creepy, old and abandoned and awful. That place was creepy, awesome. Exploring the town had been better than this. I think she's gonna go this one. Me neither. You and Tamarack basked in a shared excitement no one but you and her could feel. It wasn't new to anyone else. It wasn't that important to other people. But the joy over it could be doubled because you had each other. Then she sprang onto her rain boot-clad feet again. There was more yet to see. Climbing over mossy stones to look under them, and looking under them too, the group spread out to explore. The air there cooled you through. You could feel its chill against the roof of your mouth and teeth with every breath, like the aftermath of eating a mint. It wasn't only autumn season, and the wind rushing across the valley, though those were two parts of why. Being so close to water added a third layer to the unique type of cold you experienced at the special place. It really was a land set apart from everything else. While clambering about, Tamarack imagined a fairy tale with a mysterious creature that lived under the bridge. She never set foot there until that day, but was certain she was an expert on its hidden history. That was exactly like her. Eventually, Tamarack made a different kind of explanation to the crowd. I'm going to cross the bridge now. She had already begun inching that way. Yeah, check it out. I'll think about what to do while we're here. We could play a game or something. Chiu, Baxter, and Darren stood as a unified front on that, come up with a plan, despite Chiu doing all the talking. Okay, I'll come back later. That sounds like fun, Tamarack. I'll come too. Wait, I want to cross the bridge too. Can I come with you? Hey, I'll go with you so you're not by yourself. You followed after her, wanting to stick together. Seeing the top of the bridge interested you. You moved to go too. That was fine for her. You wanted to stick by Chiu. You planned to stay where your club was. Going across the bridge sounded boring. You'd hang out in the valley. See you later. Be careful. Okay. That sounds fun. I'll come too. Then come on, let's go see the bridge. The boys waved you off on your short trip. Tamarack skipped up the stairs and climbed them too. And you climbed them too. At the top, Tamarack strolled along by your side. She was usually a speedy girl, but if it was to stay with you, Tamarack could take it easy sometimes. Tamarack glanced at the trees clinging with thick roots to the hillside and the carved blocks that created the path suspending you above the ground, completely enchanted. From those fantastic stories and the sparkling in her eyes, Tamarack might have believed there was real magic to be found here. You went to the opposite end, peered into the mountain path beyond, then looped around the way you'd come. Halfway on the second crossing, Tamarack paused to glance over the valley. Look at them down there, so little. Tamarack was smiling softly over that. But then, with no warning, her lips stretched into something mischievous. Tamarack's gaze had gone far away. She silently gripped the strap of her shoulder. Across her shoulder. When the idea finished coming to life in her mind, Tamarack got to action, starting by taking the bag off and dropping it on the bridge with a thud. Next, Tamarack crouched down to undo the front straps. What are you looking for? She giddily hee-heed. I have an idea. Tamarack rummaged around inside with both hands, her tongue sticking out until, got it! She yanked out a lumpy, bumpy something. You. Sorry, excuse me. You only got a glimpse before she was gone. Tamarack rushed to the railing and just about tackled the stone wall. She jutted her face out over it. She needed to lean on her tippy toes to get that far. The vantage point was used to great effect as Tamarack let out a shout that echoed through the entire valley. Boys! Intrigued by what was happening, you approached the railing and glanced below. There was a very confused boys' club gathered in a bunch, looking straight up at you and Tamarack. They had moved from one side of the stream to the other at some point. Tamarack thrust a closed fist over the side of the bridge. Between her fingers was the bag of cashews from the floor. She shook it about. Tamarack had a challenge. If I throw these cashews from up here, do you think you can catch them? Every eye and mouth in the audience popped open wide in surprise. And then the crowd went wild. They reached their hands into the sky, shouting in unison, "Yeah!" It was like seeing a nest of baby birds when their mom dangled dinner overhead. Tamarack chuckled again. She pulled from the edge part way to settle on the balls of her feet. At a normal talking level, Tamarack spoke words for you. If they miss, the animals can eat it. It's just nuts. You can throw too. Or you can go down now if you want to catch. Me and you will be an unstoppable throwing force. What? I've got to throw. Thanks for sharing the cashews. I'd wanna drop them. Thanks for sharing the cashews. I'd wanna drop them. I'm gonna catch a bunch of cashews. Thanks for doing this game. I'm gonna try catching them. I'm not gonna do either of those things. Oh, it's okay. I'll watch. You pointed behind you towards the stairs. You were gonna catch. You nodded, moving closer to the edge. You were gonna throw too. You shook your head and stepped back. You weren't gonna play. Me and you, we unstoppable throwing force. Ooh, this is the funnest part. Tamarack pulled open the zip-sealed pouch of ammunition. She plopped it on the edge between you and her. You'd have plenty to work with. Who knew packing a full-sized bag of cashews would come in handy for something like this? Tamarack, you guessed. She was prepared for everything. The leader of this new game selected one single cashew off the top. She stretched out over the drop again. In 2 fingers, Tamarack daintily dangled the first prize. Paper airplanes and now cashews. Tamarack certainly liked throwing things at people. Ready? Another unanimous clamor rose from the boys' club. Ready! With a flick of her wrist and no final warning, the nut sailed through the air. Players scrambled to be wherever the cashew was going to land, and went straight down, bounced against the stone, rolled away, never to be seen again. No one got close. The gang's desperate fever fizzled. Awkward glances were sent about the field. That was just a test one. Chia's excuses amused the other kids, getting slight smiles to spread, but there was truth in it. The players had a much better idea of the landing zone. Maybe next time, or the time after, somebody would get something. Yep, here we go. Someone as enthusiastic as her wouldn't stick to that pace. It was only the starting shot after all. She shoved cashews into both her palms and then shimmied her arms way back above their heads. The nuts jingled from her hold without pause, at least until she had to reload. The game was on. I like the art in this game. You sent a single cashew down at a time, aiming with care. You let loose one nut after the other, flinging them carelessly. You let 2 nuts fall at a time, one from each hand. You launched 2 nuts at each toss, sending them high into the air. You sprinkled a stream of cashews, slow but constant. You made it rain nuts, heaping rapid fistfuls. You got so distracted watching everything you forgot to throw anything. These are all pretty good ones. Let me see, which ones are you gonna do? I'm trying to think. Because I think there is somewhat a chillness to Kia. It's deep. Excuse me, sorry. You drink some water. Yeah, I guess she'll just do that for now. Or actually, let's do this one. The frenzy reached new heights as everyone went in dizzying circles, stumbling over uneven ground and leaping for the goldenish colored metals. Baxter took the simplest method to catching stuff. He used his hands to catch at the falling snacks. Chio and Darren bent their necks to face towards the sky. They attempted to sink a nut directly into their open mouths. You'd been way righter than you thought when you pictured them as chicks hopping for food before. The wave of cashews Tamarack and you sent down were unforgiving. It more than kept the boys' club on their combined 30 toes. They'd need double the amount to even try keeping up. In the heat of competition, you glimpsed the coming of a big mistake. It happened faster than anything could be done to stop it. Chio and Darren slammed directly into each other. The impact brought both toppling over directly into Baxter. Keeping his eyes ahead didn't save him. Baxter went down with them. The trio landed in a heap as helplessly as the cashews no one caught. The boys rolled onto their backs into the grass, holding their poor faces. The third was flat out on his stomach, blinking in surprise. Are you guys alright? No, are you hurt? That was awesome. You applauded the incredible collision. The impact made you wince. What a bunch of crash dummies, you joked. You've got to be more careful, you scolded the pair. You leaned down as far as you could to survey the accident. You rushed down the stairs to check their conditions. You burst into giggles. Well, there goes the game, you grumbled. You glared at them. This could ruin all the fun. It left you stunned in place. That was horrible, but you were powerless to do anything. Tamarack cupped her hands together, stopping any more cashews from falling. Yeah, are your heads okay? From youngest to oldest, the group started climbing to their feet again. They brushed off leaves and grass and a couple cashews, piecing sticks to their clothes. Baxter helpfully plucked debris off his buddies' backsides that they couldn't reach. Chiyu inhaled deeply, tilted far enough back to drop his hood onto his shoulders, and responded to the concern loud enough for all to hear. "I'm good." The boys' club had a little group talk afterwards, but that part was too quiet for you to hear. Ended with Chiyu shooting off a thumbs up, so things must have been A-okay. That was a relief. You didn't think you'd ever been happier to have him thumbs up at you. And so the event resumed, more carefully this time. Baxter caught another nut, and then a good few more after. His palm gradually filled with cashew chunks, which was not easy to pull off. But then the unbelievable happened. One of the nuts dropped directly into Darren's gaping mouth. Darren was so surprised, something in his tongue, that he coughed and spit the cashew out. That didn't diminish the glory of the feat. In fact, it only proved for sure that he'd done it. You could make that out even from the top of the bridge. All eyes were on Darren again, though for an entirely different reason than a minute ago. Meanwhile, his gaze had silently gone up to you. That nut he caught was one of yours. You waved. He was welcome. Baxter and Q crowded around the champ, slapping his shoulders and ruffling his hair. This was technically a competition against each other, but if one of them was triumphant, it was a victory for the entire club. Darren grinned at the attention, breathing hard from exertion. His cheeks and the spot where Chiyu's face had smacked into his chin were all red. Still, the bag wasn't empty. Tamarack didn't declare this over yet. This would be the last hurrah. And despite the chaos below, you and Tamarack worked together in a perfect rhythm. In the chaos of that, you and Tamarack knocked together, reaching for the bag at the same time. Distracted by everything below, you and Tamarack stuck your hands in the bag at the same time. I'm gonna go with this one. They're besties. They're gonna win the perfect rhythm. Soon the bag that had been so stuffed it could hardly close was left barren. Only a few broken bits and salty dust remained in the folds of the plastic. Tamarack brushed her hands together and made the call. "That's all the cashews!" That stamped out the excitement quicker than when the first nut hit the ground. Chiyu bent forward like a sagging bag of nuts. He hung his head low, his arms dangled down in front of him. It couldn't have been a more exaggerated show of disappointment. You couldn't make it out clearly even from way up there. On the flip side, the mastermind of the event was lighter than air. It was great. Tamarack plopped both her elbows on the stone railing. She propped up her cheeks in her palms and made her wide smile all squished, and it got her face messy with cashew crumbs. She couldn't care about either. The boys' club is pretty funny. Remember when they all fell down? Omi and Opa are going to love hearing about this. Tamarack rested there, giggling and tapping the back of her heels together. That was until her attention was taken by one of the funny boys' club boys. "Hey, meet us at the stairs!" Chiyu stuck one arm towards the spot. He used his other hand to cup his mouth. "We're going to eat the other snacks." "Coming!" News of the activity made Tamarack bounce in celebration. She was energized for the next bit of fun. "Okay." Tamarack shoved the ransacked baggie into her top overall pocket, donned her bigger pack, and skipped across the bridge. She wouldn't litter, that was for sure. You returned to the world below the bridge with her. With treats at the ready, The entire group regathered on the steps, nestled into the hillside of the valley. 3 kids settled down, the shortest one at the highest point, going up in size and down in level from there. Tamarack had come from the top, so she didn't go too far towards the ground. Chiu took the lead for his club and sat on the step directly under her. Darren was on the spot behind Chiu. Baxter, however, only leaned his shoulder against the cobblestone wall. You sat on the exact same step as Tamarack. You sat on the exact same step as Chiu. You sat on the exact same step as Darren. You sat on the step above Tamarack. You sat on the step lower than Darren. You stayed standing. I wish I knew exactly which steps each of these were. Let's do that. Because I'm trying to figure it out. Because if there's I'm assuming this step is not taken. So I think it's like Darren, Chiu, Tamarack. So then I think this is where Kia's at, like on this step. I don't know what order they're sitting in. I'm like, let's say Kia's here, Tamarack's here, Chiu's here, Darren's there. Because there's one more step, you know. It was nice and freeing. Baxter nodded up at you. Your seat was a little damp and a whole lot hard, but it was great to finally not be on your feet. You'd walked the whole town, explored the special place, and were standing during the entire cashews off the bridge game. Chiu casually hung his legs over the side of the stairs. Darren pulled up a knee near his chest while the other leg was resting across the step. Tamarack planted her feet onto Chiu's spot. She bumped him playfully with her boots. I gotta say, Chiu pointed a finger into the air, calling the latest meeting of his club, even though Tamarack still wasn't a member. You had a really good idea there, Tamarack. Smiling sweetly with her hands in her lap, Tamarack sincerely appreciated the praise. Thanks, Chiu. However, Mr. Chiu Lin might have initiated the discussion, but Tamarack brought it down to business. Who's the winner? We're all winners. He offered the idea optimistically, or maybe hopefully was the better word. In the end, Chiu was the only one who never managed to get anything. No! His hopes were flatly denied. Littering in the forest and soft-hearted ideas of not choosing a single winner were 2 things Tamarack couldn't stand by. Somebody has to win, but what counts as winning? That's a tough call. Baxter had the most, but Darren did something pretty crazy. That should count for more than 1 catch. It's your game, Tamarack. Make up a point system. She crossed her arms and squeezed her knees together, showing the serious effort she was putting into thinking. Tamarack sat like a round nut waiting to be cracked. And what broke through was a fresh, devious smile, even more than when she came up with the game to begin with. If you caught it with your mouth, that's worth more points than catching it with your hands. But it doesn't count if you spit it out. Darren's spine went rigidly straight in an instant. Before scrunching down more than ever, he croaked defeatedly. This had gotten him more ruffled than when he hacked up the cashew. Baxter wins! Darren's fuzzy black gloves were balled into harmless-looking fists. He must have wanted to argue that his efforts should count for something. But he was unable to put those words together right to the girl's face. That had to be exactly why Tamarack made the rules unfair against him. Baxter chuckled under his breath. Clever. So the victor was crowned, and he gave his short acceptance. Congrats to Baxter. Though Baxter acted as if he didn't care a tiny cashew crumb if he won or lost based on Tamarack's made-up rules that she had decided on after the game was already over. Darren continued to pout in his nook the whole while. Thankfully for him, he had a pal who never let things stay sad for long. At least we can all agree who got last. Me. Shiyu shifted from angling for a no-win situation to confidently accepting his status at the bottom rung. That plan succeeded where his nut-catching strategies failed. It made Darren faintly smile. Chiyu gave a wink, not stopping there. You other guys are taller. That gave you the edge. Don't forget. There was laughter and lighthearted smiles up and down and along the steps. It was just one of those days where everything was funnier than it was frustrating no matter what. Okay, Snack King, enjoy your spoils. Snack King gets to pick first. There were many unknown rules and regulations for the status of Snack King. You were learning a lot. Chiyu loudly stretched open the handles of the bag, holding its delicacies out for Darren. He took his beef jerky. That was the last thing he needed to make him feel fully content again. Pass me the gummies. Baxter got his treat as requested, then Chiyu moved on to you. Kia? You found your hard caramels in the bag. You took the spicy chips Chiyu got. Would it be alright if I wanted the spicy chips? Can I have some of the jerky too? Can I have some gummies too? No thank you, I don't want any right now. You waved your hand, passing on the option. She'll take out her thing. Chiyu secured his chips last before stuffing the corner store bag into a crevice on the step. Having your own special treat that was bought with your very own money was exciting. You couldn't even guess how long ago you'd gotten it from the store and were more than ready to finally dig in. You tossed a few pieces in your mouth, immediately feeling rewarded for your choices. It was great. The group who planned the food detour easily settled back into a snack sharing semicircle. Baxter had bent over the stairs to be closer to the ones sitting down. No boy was empty-handed, and none of them were limited to just the treat they chose. Chiyu and Darren's gloves got completely coated in powdery snack bits in record time. It was then that Tamarack rejoined the conversation. She'd been quietly sifting through her fully stocked messenger bag while Chiyu had been dividing up treats. Here's what I got. And what she got was a yellow rectangle the size of a large chocolate bar, though it wasn't chocolate. The brightly colored block made Chiyu giggle. We're lucky you didn't chuck that big thing at us. Wait, does caramel have milk in it? I should have checked that sooner. Are you sure? It would have been easy to catch. I'm sure. I'm alright with not catching anything. Darren couldn't help interrupting back and forth with dubious curiosity. What is it? Fig cookies. You recognized them immediately. That was something you were very familiar with. Hold on, you knew what that was. You'd never heard of such a cookie in your life. I don't know if she'd recognize them immediately, but I think she should know what they are. Yeah. Tamarack tore open the wrapper with gusto. Then she slid out a light tan couch cushion looking cookie. It was flat at the top and bottom with a dark brown filling in the center. Oh, I love those. I want some, they're so good. I didn't know other kids liked them. Those cookies always sounded nasty to me. Let me try it. I wouldn't have guessed you liked those. They're kind of plain. Ew, those are gross. Lucky the corner store didn't have those. I would have gotten that. Oh yeah, those are pretty boring cookies. Would it be okay if I had a piece? I like those cookies. You stared at the treat with big, hungry eyes. You puckered your face in disgust. Not fig cookies. You pointed at it eagerly. She had fig cookies? Those cookies always seemed nasty. You held a hand open to try it now. There wasn't anything new or interesting. She could eat it if she wanted. Yeah, okay, I'll just go this one. Here, take a piece. Tamarack pinched at the top and pressed it down. The cookie was kind of soft, more like a snack cake. It smushed and bent until a chunk separated with a snap. Then she placed it in your waiting palm. Chiu looked up at the latest exchange of goods. He scratched his cheek. Could I try it too? Sure. Thank you. Tamarack passed a small section of the spongy cookie down to Chiu. I'd try a fig cookie. Another simple request came in before she'd finished pulling her fingers away from Chiu. Tamarack took a second to yank off a corner and stuff it in her mouth before nodding. Whittling the cookie away even more to share with Baxter, he tossed it in his mouth just like that. Only a 1-inch square was left of the bar then. Her snack almost got finished faster than any other. You take it. She hadn't said his name, but her eyes were set directly on Darren 2 steps lower. He didn't react. Apparently, if you didn't address something, it wasn't there. Or he might not have realized she was talking to him. Darren had changed his sitting position to take on the appearance of a folded chair. Not only were both his legs pulled up, but his arms were over his knees and his face was lowered down into them. Chiu gave the back of Darren's blonde head a nudge. Anybody home? Without a word, Darren tilted his neck like he had during the game. Tamarack was already leaning over to dangle the last bit of cookie above his face. Carefully, he reached out and plucked the gift from Tamarack's hold as if he was picking a real fig off a branch. It made sense, in a way. Tamarack's name was a type of tree. Thanks. Darren curled his fingers closed around his new cookie. He kept staring upwards at Tamarack. That had to be a record for the longest time he held eye contact with her. You can have a piece of jerky. Everybody can. Thank you, but I don't want that. Oh. Before that could get awkward, Tamarack's attention sparked on a different idea. It worked out for Darren, though. She hadn't done it to smooth over her... It worked out for Darren, though she hadn't done it to smooth over her bluntness. To smooth her bluntness over. Tamarack was like that. She had a lot of energy. I have something else, too. And the something else was the bare baggie of cashews dust taken from her overalls. Seeing her bring it out now was more confusing than when she first pulled it out from her bag on the bridge. Tamarack snickered at the loss she'd left the group at and her own secret scheming. She poured the scraps into her hand and returned the now completely empty bag into the pocket it came from. Tamarack shot one of the tiny pieces right at Chiu. Chiu's defensive instincts kicked in, and he snatched it before it could hit his face. What was that about? You got one! A cashew that I threw. Chiu gave a lopsided smile and ate the little piece. Guess I did. Thanks. Tamarack was sweeter than any cookie. So, would anybody want to try my snack? Hey, I've gotta have some. You gotta have some of my stuff too. Everybody, I can share my snack too. You held out your snack to the rest of the group. You wanted a turn to share. Maybe someday you'd be brave enough to share your snacks with them. People can have my snack and I want to try yours. If it's alright, I'd trade part of my snack for some of what you got. Okay, someone else give their snack now. You gesture at the boys' club. They could share with you too. You wave to get the boys' club attention. You'd share now, and they would share with you too. You enjoyed your whole snack yourself. You were already full. You were going to save what you had for later. A chorus of agreements followed. The group was more than happy to provide. Your treat made the rounds along the stairs. They filled their hands and stomachs with it. The conversation took a turn when Chiu chirped up with a question. So, what do you think? Of what? What else? Tamarack gave her a slick smile. Her attention was what he'd been trying to grab. The club. Oh. I shouldn't say anything else. That was okay. Chiu continued on himself. You're glad you joined now, aren't you, Kia? Yeah, I am glad. Yep, it was the best decision ever. You bobbed your head in agreement. You tapped your chin, then gave an okay sign. Well, it's been nice. No, your voice was flat, but not serious. It's terrible. Don't do it, you teased. I don't know. Come on, you've got to stop asking her about that, you chuckled. Let it go, Chiu. Leave Tamarack alone. You looked away awkwardly. You stuck out your tongue. Yeah, I'm glad. Chiu was never more grateful for having you in the club than he was right then. You'd had his back. See, Tamarack? You can still join if you wanna. Tamarack thought longer about the question than she had the first time Chiu invited her. She gave it real consideration, but the answer wasn't different. No thanks. At least mostly. There had been a development over the afternoon you would experience. Tamarack was quick to add it in. I still like you, Chiu, and I like playing with Baxter and Darren. Really? Thanks. You do? Chiu's left and right hand boys were amazed. Baxter in amused disbelief, and Darren in that he didn't have a single clue what to do. It was kind of the same for you. You liked Baxter more. It was kind of the same for you. You like Darren now. That was a surprise for her. As for you, you felt the same about those two boys. Yeah. Growth. Chiu became a calming force on the little crowd, a steady rock against the winds of emotion, which was not usual for him. You know, that's cool. I think it makes sense for you, Tamarack. Nope, I can read. I think that makes sense for you. It's the Tamarack way. That was the end of that for the day, and maybe forever. Chiu managed to be at peace, not having everybody he knew in his official club. So you were partially a club, and completely a group of friends hanging out at the bridge. Chiu took a turn trying to toss cheesy chips into Tamarack's mouth. She squealed every time she missed, and whooped whenever she didn't. Baxter rested along the wall, watching the game with semi-interest. He batted away shots that had misfired or bounced off of Tamarack. Darren nibbled on the last of Baxter's sour gummies while he was keeping score, while Chiu and Tamarack kept their eyes fully in the game. It was kind of like a picnic, except there was no blanket or basket, and it was a lot colder than you'd usually imagine for a picnic. Thanks for showing me this place, Chiu. Thanks for coming up with such a fun thing, Tamarack. Thanks for showing me this place, Chiu, and thanks for making it fun, Tamarack. This wasn't so bad. I had a really good time doing this. What a great idea this was. best Saturday ever. You stomped your feet and clapped at the game. You were glad you did this. You quietly stared up at the cloudy sky. You yawned, so sleepy after everything had happened. You were exhausted and hopefully could go home soon. Best Saturday ever. Right? I told you. Nuh-uh. Your plan was going riding. Bikes, bikes, bikes. That's all you told us about. Well, at first, yeah, but it was my idea to do both things. Both includes coming here. It counts. No. Tamarack cheered. There'd be no compromising on that. Fine. Those two definitely did disagree on a lot of things, but it was equally certain that they were friends in their own silly way. And they were your friends too. Actually, the whole group got along if you thought about it. That was pretty incredible. Darren and Baxter probably wouldn't say you and Tamarack were their friends, but that didn't mean you weren't. That day, across the town, into the treasure chest store up at a mountain, and across the bridge could only be described as an adventure, though it was what the kids went with who made it a memory to hold on to. Alright, and there we have it. We did the first step moment, and it's been a couple of hours, so I will wrap up now. And then tomorrow I will play Wills, and if I get on early enough, maybe I'll do Wills and the Step 2 preview. I don't know how long the Step 2 preview will be, but I really, really want to check it out. I want to know what it's going to be like. So yeah, tomorrow we'll do Step 1 moment selection, Wills, and maybe Step 2 preview, depending. But definitely Wills tomorrow. Alright, oh, let me save. I was about to just close it down without saving. Oof. Okay. Oh, it's August 1st. Wow, it's August 1st. Okay, well, thank you all very much for tuning in. And again, I'll be back tomorrow, most likely. That's the plan. Tomorrow, we do Wills. Alright. Thanks again. Bye.